Welcome to Module 4, Making It Matter, the Art of Relevance. Have you ever shared something you thought was fascinating? Some little known fact, an amazing story, and it just landed flat. That silence, that distant look in your guest's eyes, that's a relevance problem. It's not because what you said wasn't good. It just didn't land where they are. And that's the key, where they are. So let's break that down. In the world of interpretation, relevance has two parts, meaningful and personal. Meaningful means connecting what you're saying to something guests already understand. Personal means making them feel it, connecting it to their own lives, experiences, or emotion. Here's a favourite example of mine I've used when talking about New Zealand's native forests. The forest was the supermarket of our ancestors, not just for food, but medicine, shelter, tools, stories, memory. Every plant a product, every path an aisle. Suddenly a wall of green becomes something practical, relatable, even alive. They've been to a supermarket. They've never foraged in the bush. But now they can imagine. Before a tour, or even in the first few minutes, try to get a sense of your group. Are they families with kids, photographers, adrenaline seekers, quiet reflectors? Relevance starts with listening. If you're guiding scientists, you might lean into the detail a little bit more, be less generic with your language. If they are bucket listers, you might decide to lead with wonder, focus on the jaw-dropping, the once-in-a-lifetime, the emotional impact of what they're seeing, before circling back to the deeper layers. As they say in marketing, relevance is remembered. And that's the job, to help guests care enough to carry it with them. So here are 5 things I reach for constantly in the field. The first one, using analogies. My favourite, it's kind of like. A good analogy is a bridge. It turns foreign into familiar. So try these. A coral reef is like an apartment block. Every crevice is someone's home. A river delta is nature's airport. Everything's arriving and departing constantly. This volcano is like a sleeping giant and we're camped on its chest. Analogies. Number 2, invite their imagination. Use the second person you and rhetorical questions. For instance, what would you pack if you had to cycle across 2 countries in 5 days with no phone and only local markets for food? These aren't just fun, they activate people. Instead of observing, they start participating in their heads. French novelist, literary critic and essayist Marcel Proust said, "The only true voyage would be not to visit strange lands, but to possess others' eyes." 3, tap into universal emotions. Sometimes I'm not trying to explain a process, I'm trying to evoke a feeling. That's where you look for the human in the wild. A parent-offspring bond in wildlife. Perseverance in a migrating bird. A love story in a forgotten ruin. Or you could use surprise, humour, awe, mystery. David Attenborough once said, the greatest source of inspiration is wonder. That wonder lies in the stories that stir feeling. And as Ine Nin wrote, if I ask you to think, you can choose not to. But if I make you feel something, you're already there. Number 4, speak like a human. If I use jargon, words like orographic uplift or diagenesis, I lose most of my guests and possibly myself. Instead, I would say, this is where the weather gets built. These rocks, they've been squeezed until they sing. If I have to use a technical term, I wrap it in an image. That way I'm not just explaining, I'm connecting. And number 5, involve the senses. This is so powerful. Whenever possible, bring in texture, sound, scent, taste. Can you smell that? What does it remind you of? What's the coldest you have ever been? Now imagine feeling like that every day for 15 months. You're not just telling stories, you're anchoring them in the body, and that's where memory lives. Back in the business world, which I predominantly come from, they say, if you're not relevant, you're noise. If you want someone to act, you have to give them something to feel, and a product's features aren't what sell, it's how it changes someone's day. Well, it's the same with storytelling. You're not selling ecology, you're inviting someone to feel like they are part of it. So again, let's pause now before you start the next module and take one of your go-to stories or topics and consider it to be made more personally relevant. Jot down 2 concrete ways you could bring it closer to your guest world. Can you connect it to a familiar modern experience or reference? Is there a personal anecdote, big or small, you're comfortable sharing that makes it human? And what question could you pose to invite their imagination or emotional response? This isn't about changing your story, it's about translating it so they care. Kia ora, and thank you.